Okay, we gotta snap out of it because yesterday there was a very bad Vancouver Canucks game. They stunk. But you know what else happened yesterday? Habs stuff. Not even just the game itself, wherein the Canadiens also lost against the Winnipeg Jets, but there were enough Habs stories and notes from yesterday that we could, in theory, put it all together into a Habs last night kind of thing. I don't know, that doesn't really sound all too nice, to be honest, but yeah, there are a lot of different implications you could get out of that title. But let's go over some news from the Montreal Canadiens that made headlines last night, some things that you might have missed, some things that I do think are worth talking about. Starting out with the biggest story from yesterday's Habs and Jets game. It was the one goal to open everything up. It was the only goal that people seemed to care about because the Habs scored 2 goals last night. They lost 4-2, but the very first goal of the game was scored by none other than Lane Hutson, baby. Hell yeah, finally, he gets himself his first NHL goal. It's about time, right? About time. Cole Caulfield plays the puck back over to Matheson on the faceoff. Matheson goes over to Hutson on the left side, who walks in, he shoots, and he scores. And the best part about the goal going in was the reaction. You can see here, from the moment the puck crosses the line and everybody realizes the puck crosses the line, the elation from all of these Canadiens players on the ice is just infectious. Matheson does a little bit of a spin with his arms in the air. Cole Caulfield leaps for joy upwards. You even see both of these guys dashing to the front of the net to grab the puck, both of them, Matheson and Caulfield. And then in the celebration, you can see Slafkovsky. He's got his arms up. He hugs Cole Caulfield very tightly, and then the guys all celebrate there. Even on the bench, you saw the reaction from Marty St. Louis. St. Louis almost looked like he was more excited to see that goal go in than anybody else in the arena. Marty St. Louis had such a great reaction to Lane Hutson and his first NHL goal, and later on we did get some press from the man himself, Lane Hutson posing with his first career goal puck and everything like that. There were some comments that he made. It's pretty special. You never know when it's going to be your last goal or your first goal. It's cool for sure, but I would have loved to score and won the game. Hopefully we can do that soon, Hutson said. And included is a very nice picture of a guy in a toque. Look at that swell young lad going out there and being humble. I just scored my first NHL goal, and I care more about the win. Let it be known that his values are in the right place. Because he is right, the Habs did lose, and there was a very interesting statistic that we had seen from Montreal after the game. Take a look at this. It was tweeted out before the Canadiens game yesterday, and it's a pretty... this isn't great, isn't it? The Canadiens' current 29-game streak without recording more than 30 shots on goal is too shy of tying an NHL single-season record. And that's a lot of words. That's a lot of things to take into at one time. Essentially, the Habs have a 29. It's now 30 because yesterday they only had 28 shots against the Jets. A 30-game streak without recording more than 30 shots on goal. They're one away from tying the NHL single-season record of game streaks of 30 or fewer shots. It's kind of a ridiculous stat. It's not really all too indicative about anything other than the fact that the Habs don't get too many shots comparative to other teams who have done this in a certain amount of time. But I guess you could go out there and say it's a talking point, right? It's kind of a miracle that the Canadiens have still found ways to win some games in this stint, despite only having 20-something shots per game. Maybe it's something that's actually important to you, maybe it's not. We did have ourselves an overall holistic view on the team via the NHL Game Score Impact card, though, and I wanted to show this off because it kind of puts a lot of Canadiens fan sentiment into perspective when you acknowledge who is doing good and who is doing poorly. Because right now, or not right now, from yesterday's game, Lane Hutson was the best player on the ice for the Montreal Canadiens by a significant margin. The second best was Mike Matheson, followed up by Josh Anderson, Christian Dvorak, Brendan Gallagher, and David Savard. The worst player on the Montreal Canadiens yesterday was Kirby Dach, who actually had the same, if not a slightly better defensive rating than Patrik Laine. Although, you could note that while Patrik Laine did have a pretty negative rating comparative to Kirby Dach, Laine also did bring some offensive things that were positive, and that is why he is actually listed as the 4th worst player on the Habs rather than the actual worst when you consider the positives and the negatives being balanced out together. This metric takes a look at all the good and the bad. So Kirby Dach had himself a bad game. Patty Laine unfortunately did not look all too great yesterday, and this also was something that we had seen in the prior Canadiens game against the Pittsburgh Penguins. This is going to be it, man. This is not going to be an easy one-stop fixes it all. He's going to get a goal a game run. That's definitely not what we're seeing here. Patrik Laine is going to have to go through ups and downs, and the good part is, though, I will say, we saw some comments made by Laine in regards to those ups and downs. This was a comment that he made also yesterday whilst the game was going on. I just learned to have positive conversations with myself. I've always been negative towards myself. That's something I've learned. To speak nice things to yourself because your brain can't figure out if it's somebody else saying those things to you or yourself. I try to stay positive. And honestly, that's some really good advice, not just for hockey players who are going through ups and downs, some good games, some bad games, some whatever, but it's just a life thing, you know? Sometimes, in fact, most times, we are our own worst critics, so being able to differentiate what is being told to us by ourselves versus what we think is being told to us from other people, which in fact is actually just ourselves speaking into our third-person point of view, that's when things get a little bit freaky and things can kind of spiral out of control if you're not careful. So for Patty Laine to go out there and make this sort of a comment, it's a really good thing, and in fact, it's not the only good thing that we had seen from the Montreal Canadiens yesterday. He did have some other comments talking about Ehlers and Connor Hellebuck and stuff, but I didn't really want to focus too much on that. Instead, I wanted to talk about yet another stellar performance out of a Montreal Canadiens prospect whose name we haven't spoken about in a while. It's Michael Hage, who ended up scoring the overtime winner in yesterday's Michigan Wolverines versus Wisconsin Badgers game. It was a beautiful goal, too, as he drove down the left wing, protecting the puck on the outside, cutting inside, and then sniping it by the goalie. Michael Hage is a prospect that we unfortunately have not been talking too much about comparative to some of the others. We've been talking about Demidov a lot, but Michael Hage is still at a pretty good clip himself. He is still over a point per game this season. 18 points in 15 games played. Very good numbers out of an NCAA freshman at only 18 years old. The Mississauga, Ontario native, the center who looks like Jack Eichel in his silhouette, is still finding ways to do incredible things. He had a 5-point game a few weeks ago, that in which I actually don't think we talked about. Did we? I don't know. Maybe we did, maybe we didn't, but either way, he still has been finding ways to do incredible things with the Michigan Wolverines. That 5-point game, by the way, was a 10-6 victory for Michigan over Penn State University. RIP to Penn State in that stint. But Michael Hage has been going out there, still producing some pretty incredible points and finding himself up on the board with great play. This is definitely a guy that you should be keeping your eye on for Montreal Canadiens' prosperity in the future, because alongside of Ivan Demidov, this 2024 class is looking to actually have some of the best talent near the top of the draft. No disrespect to Juraj Slafkovsky and Philip Mashar, but right now, Demidov and Hage is giving us a lot more reasons to be hyped. No disrespect to Cole Caulfield, Kirby Dach, and Alex Newhook. Caulfield's great, the other two guys, so-so, but the 2019 class, not looking all too great comparative to what Hage and Demidov are doing. Maybe I'm being a little bit biased, though, because those three guys are already NHL players. Hage and Demidov are not, and the Canadiens didn't even draft Dach and Newhook, so maybe it's unfair to talk about it like that, but either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Habs. Lane Hutson scoring himself a goal yesterday, his first NHL goal. Patty Laine's self-talk. The Canadiens not getting too many shots off. The fact that Lane Hutson is pretty much like one of the most consistently good players on the team, despite the fact that he is only a rookie. And what are your thoughts about Michael Hage doing his thing and also having some great success in the NCAA as well? Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on. And bye.